Bitcoin is now trading under the $22,000 level. It has also touched the long-term target of the 200-week moving average, which has been the possibility for the technical target since we broke the 50-week moving average. So, in my opinion, everything is on track to come closer and closer towards the bottom of the bear market. So let's dive into the charts and let me share with you some thoughts on what has been developing and what we could potentially expect lying ahead. If you are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Dirk. Subscribe down below, click that notification bell. If you haven't gotten on my email list yet, it is the first link in the description down below. Click that, get on there, then I can notify you every time there's an important update or when I upload a video so you don't miss any of these episodes. Also, if you want to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or join our public Telegram, the links are down in the description below. Alright, so Bitcoin is currently trading at just under $21,889 as I am recording this. Now, to some of you that may be terrible if you bought in high, but to a lot of you it may also be incredible because we once again get a buying opportunity to be able to get into Bitcoin and Ethereum and other altcoins at much lower prices than last year and in 2020. And again, if you were someone who got into crypto later on and you were FOMOing because Bitcoin was trading at $50,000 or $60,000 or almost $70,000 and you didn't get to buy low, well, here is a chance to do it all over again, and we might even still go a little bit lower than where we are right now, which I'll explain in this video too. Now let's start this off with a weekly chart of Bitcoin. As you can see, this is the 50-week moving average in blue and the 200-week moving average in red. I have shared this going back through the channel. I'll actually play you a little bit of a clip in a second. I've been sharing this for months and months and months, how important these averages are. And technically what tends to happen, this happens on many time frames, whether it's weekly or daily or 4 hourly. Trends are trends, right? We have bullish trends, we have bearish trends. When we're above certain moving averages, the trend stays in that direction and it kind of maintains it. And when we break it, well, it goes in the opposite direction. And usually when a bullish trend breaks downwards through the 50-week moving average, well, then the next stop tends to be the 200-week moving average. This is exactly what has happened here in the past. You can see over here, when we broke the 50, we ended up at the 200. When we broke the 50, we ended up at the 200. And now once again, when we broke the 50, we are now at the 200. And what's important to see here also is that since 2015, this 200-week moving average has been the ultimate support for bear market bottoms and bearish trends. And even though you can see we did wick below it from time to time, that was very briefly. It's like a week or a couple of weeks where you poke below it, which means yes, we can still capitulate lower. We can still go to 18,000 or 16 or 14,000 on a wick for a couple of weeks, and then if this is anything to go by and history repeats, we pull back up. That was the bottom, and a year or 2 years later we are much higher than where we are today. So while there is a lot of panic in the markets right now, while everyone is scared and everyone thinks we're going to 9,000 or we're going to zero and we're in for the death of crypto, as a lot of people are saying, there's a lot of panic, there's a lot of fear, for sure. But that is usually when the ultimate buying opportunities are there. I have been sharing over the last weeks, go and look on my channel in the videos about how so many different metrics are pointing towards historic bottom opportunity levels for Bitcoin. All sorts of different indicators, including this 200-week moving average, are pointing towards us being very close to a bottom in time. Price, again, nobody really knows. Does it capitulate? Does it go to 18K or 14K? It could, maybe it doesn't. But just in the general picture of things, in the same way as we're here, does it overshoot? Maybe it does. But even if you bought right on that 200-week moving average right over here, even though yes, this was actually a 30% decline below it, but very briefly it pulled back up. Even if you had bought here at 5,000, it went to 69,000 after that, and you can see that wasn't even 2 years later, right? Same thing here. If you bought the 200-week moving average, even if you didn't buy the ultimate bottom at 3,000 and you bought at 4,000 or 5,000, again, even here it went to 13,000 or 14,000, and ultimately it never came back to that level, and then it went higher. Same thing here, okay? So we are, in my opinion, historically at an enormous buying opportunity right now at this point in time, while there is massive fear in the markets. So let me just play this for you for a second. I uploaded this on December 9th, 2021, just a couple of weeks after we had the peak of $69,000 at Bitcoin, where I was talking about the importance of the 50-week moving average. So technically, let's just look at this big picture chart over here. So this is on a log scale, it is a weekly chart. You can see this moving average is the 50-week moving average. And what is important to note over here, you can see I've made these annotations on the chart, is that as long as the price of Bitcoin does not have a weekly close below this 50-week moving average, the trend is still up. And in the last 7 years, there have only been 4 times when the price had a weekly close, and 3 out of 4 times when it closed under that 50-week moving average, that is when we had a sell-off. So you can see over here, back in August 2014, we had a weekly close after being above the 50-week moving average. It bounced off it. Here it wicked through it, but it did not close below it, right? So we had that bounce, and then here we had the confirmation of the weekly close below that, and then we had a 70% drop in the price of Bitcoin. So that would have been a good signal to get out, or potentially even short it if that's your thing, if you know how to trade. That is also a possibility, but at least get out, hedge your bets, and then wait for it to recross where it started a massive bull run. So basically that is exactly what happened. The 50-week moving average is just a very simple way of looking at a chart, looking at whether we are in a bullish or a bearish trend. As long as we're above it, we're in a bullish trend. When we close below that with a weekly close, well, then the chance of us breaking down and going to the 200 is high. Like I shared there, it only happened 4 times in the last 8 years or so. And 3 out of those 4 times it broke down. So, I mean, we had that same situation again. The moment we got a weekly close here below that 50-week moving average, which you could have seen up to 6 months ago when the price was still almost $50,000 on Bitcoin. So when we broke below there, you can see it took time and we had this little fake out rally in the same way we had it over here, right? This is all that technical analysis is. It's patterns, it's data, and that repeats over and over. And you can use that to recognize situations and try and increase your probabilities of calling the direction. It's not a crystal ball, it's not magic. It doesn't happen every single time. Sometimes you get it wrong, which is why you add risk management to it. You don't go all in on any single decision. But when you see things that have happened over and over again, and those probabilities show that it's likely to happen again when something happens, then you can base your strategy around that and manage your risk around that. So once we got below that 50-week moving average, it was completely possible to hedge your bets, either with options or potentially just get out of the market, go into stable coins, and either wait for a reclaim of that 50-week moving average or more confirmation that we are not going down, and then simply wait and see if we can get back down to that 200-week moving average. So now that we have gotten here, it is a much, much, much better buying opportunity because historically, again, the probabilities favor that this is a strong area of support. Now again, we could wick down lower. We could go to 18,000 or 14,000, who knows, in the short term. That is a possibility. And of course, there's always a black swan possibility that maybe crypto fails and goes to zero. Maybe the internet gets turned off. Maybe the power gets shut down. Who knows? It's very unlikely, but it is something that you have to factor into any investment. In the most extreme unlikely scenario that something happens, you just have to assume that there is always some sort of risk where an investment could actually go to zero, which is the reason why you can never go all in on any type of investment because of that risk of ruin, especially in financial instruments. It's maybe different, if you buy a house and you go all in on your house, well, at least you have the house, right? You have the land, you can live in it, you can rent it out, stuff like that. But with something financial like a stock or a currency or a cryptocurrency in this example, what if it actually does end up going to zero? There is a non-zero chance. It's very unlikely in my opinion, but you just can't put your entire net worth into a cryptocurrency or a stock or something like that in that case of risk of ruin. But assuming that we are not in a black swan event, right, and assuming that life continues as normal and this is just part of a normal boom bust cycle, then the historic data is pointing towards us being historically at or near a bottom and an amazing buying opportunity, as you can see here right in front of you. And as what happens in human psychology is that towards these very peaks when the markets have been going up for ages and we start getting in these euphoric levels, everybody wants to start buying. You feel this FOMO, this fear of missing out, and usually that happens towards these very tops, which is why most retail investors, especially who haven't been exposed to cryptocurrency, it's their first cycle, their first time hearing about it, they all start getting interested in 50,000, 60,000, maybe even the very top 65,000, and they buy it because they think it's going to go to 100 or 200 or 300,000. And then when it goes down and it gets to these levels where it's at or near a bottom, people get incredibly fearful, incredibly panicky, and think it's going to zero, or think it's going to 10,000 or 3,000 or back to $1,000 right at the point where it is actually near or at a bottom. It's basically how human psychology works, and that is why a lot of the time you should be doing the opposite of what the mainstream crowd is actually thinking or doing. When they all get FOMO and they all get euphoric and they want to buy, that is when you should be looking to sell. And when everybody doesn't want to touch it because it's going to zero, they're panic selling at 80 or 90% loss, well, that is usually one of the best opportunities to actually start buying and dollar cost averaging into the markets. Now let's have a look at Ethereum too, which is trading at $1,155. It was actually a little bit, how low did it go already? It already went to $1,075. So it hasn't quite hit $1,000, but it is possible that we are going under there. And this is again something that I talked about at the beginning of the year. I have a video about it. I'll link to it in the description below. You can see over here on January 28th, I published this video about the Ethereum death cross. Will we see $1,000 ETH again? And at that time, it was trading at $2,400, so $1,000, but it was still more than a 50% decline at this point. So let me play you a little clip, and then you can watch the rest of it later on if you want. But in the bear markets, you have to be careful. There's actually a lot of money to be made in bear markets, especially even simply without trading, but simply by being patient and having spare capital available, so that when the bear trend finally capitulates at the end of that, however long that may take, whether it's weeks or months, eventually, as the price continues going lower and it capitulates to the downside, it gives an amazing buying opportunity. If you have that patience and you have the risk capital available to buy those capitulations, those extreme lows where everyone is feeling the pain, everyone is kind of abandoning crypto, thinking it's dead, you know, those are the times when you can buy with potential for, we've seen it in the last bear market. I mean, Ethereum did like a 60x, 60x. So I'm just going to stop it there, but basically the message is still the same. Even back then I was saying, you know, the opportunity is there when you see these signals to get out of the market, and you can just be patient, wait for the market to crash. You have risk capital available and you buy those ultimate lows when everyone is fearful and thinking it's going to zero. That's when it gets interesting. And again, I was talking about the potential of sub $1,000 Ethereum, when even before that, when people were saying, oh, it's at 4,000, 5,000, never go below 1,000 again. We've seen this over and over again. We had over a 90% decline from 2018, beginning of 2018, till the lows, where we went from $1,400 in Ethereum to under $100, which was just over 90%, like I said. So taking a 90% decline from the almost $5,000 highs, you can see over here, that would take us to maybe even around $500. We're currently at $1,156. So you can see we hit the 200-week moving average on Ethereum, but unlike Bitcoin, the 200-week moving average on Ethereum does not have such a strong history of support. In fact, it tends to go below that 200-week moving average. So I do think there is still potential for more downside. Also, I don't have time to get into this in this video, but there's also a lot of issues with Ethereum where so many people are over leveraged on this. I've been talking about this for months also, where I've been saying the Ethereum that people use as collateral locked in DeFi protocols, basically they borrow against their Ethereum, that has liquidation levels. And when the price of Ethereum drops enough, there is potential for all that collateral to get liquidated. So either those people have to add more collateral to satisfy that position, or they're going to end up getting liquidated and losing their collateral. And there is still a lot of collateral between, say, $1,200 and downside, you know, 800, 700. So we could still see that cascade of liquidations. There's serious problems allegedly with Celsius, who seem to not have funds and are having to liquidate funds, or have put up funds as collateral, allegedly all of this, of course. But you know, there is a chance that if this continues to be pushed down, there's also rumors that certain big entities are on purpose trying to push the price down to trigger those liquidations, right? It's like a big game to them. You have these different parties, and some people have risk with their collateral and other parties have capital available, and they're trying to sell and push the price down so that this liquidation gets hit. who knows what's going to end up happening. So there is possibility we still get a liquidation cascade, and we see Ethereum go to 900 or 800, or maybe even in an extreme case, $600 or $500. It is a possibility, and then it would still be within the same bear market parameters as the last time. So we'd still have, a 90% decline at $500. It doesn't mean Ethereum is dead, not at all, but it might mean it might be the best buying opportunity that you are still going to get ever. Back here in late 2018 and early 2019, when Ethereum was trading at under $100, that was literally the best buying opportunity that you could get for Ethereum. And sure, we had an almost retest, but slightly higher here in March 2020 on that wick, on that sell-off. But if you had bought that, that was the ultimate opportunity. And Ethereum ended up doing like a 50x from those lows, even a little bit more. So that is insane, and that was an ultimate opportunity when people thought Ethereum was dead. So if we do end up going to $600 or $500 in the next few weeks, or maybe the next couple of days, if we get a liquidation cascade, it might end up being the ultimate buying opportunity for the next years. And then if we do get another bull cycle and Ethereum succeeds and everything goes well and Ethereum ends up going to $10,000, well, that's a 20x on Ethereum for $500 if it ends up going that low. And that would be an incredible return, and actually something that doesn't sound too crazy, because if it did 50x in the last cycle, maybe this time it does a 20x. It's not too crazy to imagine. So I don't know for sure how things are going to play out, but over the last years, I have made some accurate near top and bottom calls on the channel here. You can go and check the videos yourself if you want. It's all here. Even here, like 4 weeks ago, I said potentially based on the 3-day death cross, we could be seeing a bottom final wick low by June 7th to 15th. It is June 14th as I'm recording this. Maybe we get a final capitulation. I mean, we're pretty close to 20K, so that was pretty close. You can go back through the videos. Like I've shown you before also, I talked about Ethereum being $1,000. I've talked about us going down to the 200-week moving average, which we currently have achieved. I've shown all the data showing that we are at historic bottom opportunity levels once again, if that repeats. So we don't know for sure, but what the data is telling us is that, assuming that we are not in a black swan event, which is the end of the crypto markets or the end of the financial markets or some crazy apocalypse, and this is a normal boom bust cycle, then we are pretty close to a bottom in time and price for this Bitcoin bear market. And in theory, in 6 or 12 months from now, we should be a lot higher than where we currently are. We could still get a bit of a flash crash capitulation in the next couple of days, maybe in the next week or two, where we do still see Bitcoin going under 20,000, maybe as low as 14,000. Who knows how crazy things get, but that should be a very short-lived event. And if it happens and it recovers, right, in the same way we saw March 2020, we get that flash down, maybe for a week or two, pulls back up, and then that should be, in theory, the bottom of this bearish trend. And then we could have a much larger bullish trend ahead of us. Obviously, we'd probably expect 3 to 6 months of sideways trading before any sort of new recovery, in the same way that we saw at the bottom of 2015, in the same way over here 6 months at the bottom of 2018, we can expect 3 to 6 months. And then if we do get a continuation, that might be an enormous rally that takes Bitcoin above the $69,000 all-time highs, and maybe finally above 100,000 or maybe even 200,000 in this next bull market. So obviously we are only going to know in hindsight if this is going to end up playing out. I think there's a decent probability it will, based on all the data that I've been sharing with you, that we are now near or at a bottom. Obviously, we'll only know this, in 6 months or a year from now, looking back. But the data favors this as being a much better entry point than, of course, when everyone is euphoric and when we're trading at 60 or 65,000 like we were in the past. If you want more help navigating these crypto markets and you want to know what I'm personally buying and selling and when I'm doing that, come and join the Intelligent Cryptocurrency VIP membership. It is the second link in the description down below. It'll tell you everything that you need to know. We have a complete beginner's course. We have a complete TA and trading course where I share with you exactly how I see these charts and how it helps me make decisions and predictions going forward. All of that is in the membership. You get access to our private Discord group where I'm in there personally every single day, and over 1,000 other crypto investors from all around the world. Every single month, I publish a crypto newsletter that's over 40 pages long with research, insight, data. I also publish a monthly video update for members only that I don't share here on the channel. So there's a ton of info and guidance. If you need that and you want that help for getting through this bear market and the next bull market, come and sign up. There's a full 60-day money-back guarantee, so no risk to you. If you like it, you stay. If you don't like it, you can get a full refund. Come and sign up. Second link in the description down below. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, share, and I will see you in the next video.